Coming to you live from the National News Studio. Welcome to the news. My name is Clifford Richards.
And I'm Kinza Farooq. Now let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Postal strike ends. Opposition shuns media. Lawyers say opposition's undermining of the judicial process amounts to contempt of court. Strong winds in Siambalandur damages 50 houses. 230 million rupee development projects get underway in Valimadavatta, Kathankudi and Akmimana. An enchanting scenery of morning dew in some locations in the highlands. US President's warning to Russia.
In your top local story for tonight, the strike carried out by the postal trade unions ended today.
Well, although the trade unions presented their demands, the government maintained a very strong stand that's regarding the concerned policy decisions. Well, the decision has been taken in such a backdrop, and that is after many discussions that were held between the trade unions and Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa. Several postal trade unions commenced the strike based on 19 demands at midnight on 17th of this month. Prominent among their demands has been the problem regarding the marking of fingerprints and also the overtime allowance issue. People face difficulties due to the impact of the strike at post offices island-wide. The trade unions had requested for a discussion with the subject minister regarding the issue, and accordingly, the discussion was held at the Ministry of Mass Media today, and representatives of the postal trade unions, Postmaster General Ruan Satkumar, along with a number of officials joined the discussions. The Minister, Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, says that there were two main demands presented by the trade unions, and the government said that it was not ready to discuss both the demands from the very outset. The demanding of 17 demands could be discussed, and he pointed out that accordingly, both the administration and the operations of the Central Mail Exchange will operate with fingerprint machines from Monday, and the overtime allowance will remain unchanged. And also reasonable action is being taken regarding the remaining 17 demands. As a result, all trade unions have agreed to end the strike and report for duty from 4 p.m. today. Replying to a query whether they agreed to follow the newly installed fingerprint system, the minister added that the trade unions had accepted in writing yesterday. As such, the fingerprinting system commenced yesterday itself accordingly at the Central Mail Exchange. And from tomorrow, the registration of fingerprint system and the action will be taken to the start. After the discussion, the postal trade union representatives informed the media at the Central Mail Exchange premises in Colombo that they are ending the strike. Co-convener of the United Postal Trade Union Association Front, Chintaka Bandara, observed that the strike will be ended from this moment, and according to the agreement reached after the discussions with the minister, and also instructions have been issued to the Postmaster General to plan solutions within a month regarding 17 out of the 19 demands presented by the trade union. And also, the order has been handed over in writing. He added that there was no agreement regarding any change concerning fingerprint marking and the overtime allowance.
The Government Medical Officers Association has announced an island-wide trade union action from 8 a.m. tomorrow. However, Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa says there will not be a strike as opportunities remains open to have a discussion regarding the demands. Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa said there is still room open for discussion. He also said that he believes that the doctors would not go for a work stoppage. He added that the reason being adequate number of talks had already been conducted regarding transfers and new recruitments. The ministry has acted in the most reasonable level regarding these issues. The minister further said strikers would take notice of the responses from the postal strike, which was unjust and subjected the general public into extreme difficulties.
Several opposition political parties had organized media briefings today regarding the decision of the court on former President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Particular circumstances surrounding the arrest of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe in a situation where the investigation is almost complete give rise to grave concern with regard to the strength of basic democratic institutions in our country. What we are witnessing is a calculated onslaught on the very essence of our democratic values. The consequences of this go far beyond the fate of an individual or any political grouping and involve peril for the rights of our society as a whole. I join wholeheartedly in expressing my unreserved opposition to these initiatives which all political leaders are duty-bound to resist. Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumartunga.
This is a matter which goes far beyond the plight of any individual. What we are dealing with is nothing short of the strength and the stability of Sri Lanka's basic democratic institutions. If there has been bribery, corruption, fraud, by all means set the law in motion. We are unreservedly in support of that. Corruption has to be eradicated from our body politic. But guilt or innocence is a matter for the courts of this country. If there is evidence, present it to the courts. His Excellency Ranil Wickremesinghe has not been found guilty of any offence under the laws of this country by the court. He is therefore fully entitled to the benefit of the presumption of innocence which is enshrined in the Constitution of Sri Lanka. What is the need to arrest him? It is quite evident that there is no connection between the two.
We, as a responsible political party, are concerned about the proper application of rule of law in this country. But what we are witnessing today is a government's hasty response to some catcalls. Catch him if you can was a catcall by some political elements plus some civil society elements and various other individuals and some YouTubers perhaps. In the area of law enforcement, there are certain rules to be observed. At one time, a political friend becomes a political foe. That is part of politics. But then this particular incident, the way in which it has happened and certain statements that have been made by responsible people before the event and some irresponsible people before the event and what has happened ultimately shows there was a clear intention to humiliate a political personality to get some applause from the gallery. This is how we see it. It could have been done in a different manner. If there was, for all purposes, is designed to intimidate the opposition as well as to humiliate the former president. This is
An opportunity was not provided for media persons to ask questions. The media also questioned the non-participation of the leader of the opposition, Sajith Premadasa, in this press briefing. Responding to a query by media persons at that media conference, why media was not allowed to raise questions, Premana Dulawat pointed out that there was no problem regarding the time allocated by the hotel and the time allocated for the journalists. Parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa pointed out that they are clearly against any collapse of the state within the framework of democracy or outside it. Although the people think about permanent friends or enemies, it is difficult to point out when this will happen. He questioned why the leader of the opposition, Sajith Premadasa, not present at the media briefing. Namal Rajapaksa replying to another question, as the coming together of the opposition is due to fear, added that they will not come together and if they are scared of anything. A reply to a question of the absence of Sajith Premadasa, former parliamentarian Thalatha Attukorula said that she should not be questioned in this regard. And also replying to another query, Thalatha Attukorula stated that the former President Ranil Wickremesinghe should be jailed. She denied the statement. And also former parliamentarian Vajira Abeyewardene replying to a question by media says whether Sajith Premadasa and the party was invited, said that he met Sajith Premadasa at Walikada and he reminded of it at the occasion to support in this regard.
In more local news, a group of attorneys at the National People's Power says statements made by some political parties in the opposition by discrediting the judicial orders are acts of contempt of court. They have made these remarks at a media briefing held in connection with the judicial orders given on former President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Attorney at Law Akalanka Ukwata said that he had this group joined together at the time when they knew of the Easter attack in advance, the victims of the Easter massacre would have been alive today. This group had joined hands in the past 76 years not to make the people alive. They are uniting at this time because there's a threat against their class. These politicians are getting together to create a dialogue in the society after the delivery of the judicial order. By looking at the court's B report, it has become obvious that this group is trying to highlight what is not the reality. The attorney at law also said any statements made against judicial order could be regarded as contempt of the court.
විසින් උද්දීපනය කරන්න හදනවා මෙය සැබවින්ම නිසි විමර්ශනයක් නොවිච්ච කිසිම විදියකින් පොදු දේපලක් භාවිතා නොවුණු කරුණක් ලෙස මෙම බී වාර්තාව පරිශීලනය කරාම අපිට පෙනී යනවා මේක ඉතාමත් සංවිධිත සහ සියල්ල එක් තැන් වුණු සංක්ෂිප්ත වාර්තාවක් සාක්ෂි සම්පිට වාර්තාවක් සහිත වූ බී වාර්තාවක් කියන ඒ නියෝගය අසුගාමී තත්ත්වයට පත් කර ප්‍රකාශ අධිකරණයට අපහාස කිරීමක් දක්වා ඉදිරියට යන්න පුළුවන්. මේක දේශපාලන පරිගැනීම සලකලා යම්සි එක්රැස් කිරීමක් කරන්න උත්සාහ කරනවා නම් ඒකත් අධිකරණ අපහාස කිරීමක් තමයි. ඒක මහජන කැළවීමක් දක්වා වර්ධනය වුණොත් ඒක තවදුරටත් හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමාට අප නොදීමට හේතුවක් බවට පත් වෙනවා.
Attorney at law Hemaka Senanayake said that with the arresting of the former president, other members in the opposition have realized that the same fate would befall on them as well. Therefore, they are joining hands and try to infuriate the people. Their efforts could be considered as an unsuccessful conspiracy. If the former president had not committed any offence, he would be freed. However, the actions being taken by the opposition at the moment lead to a breach in the confidence on the judiciary. Therefore, the actions of the opposition are extremely dangerous. The judiciary should be accorded the opportunity to take decisions independently.
රටේ අධිකරණය ගැන තියෙන විශ්වාසය විනාශ වෙන පරිදි රටක ගරු විනිසුරුවරුන් පිළිබඳව තිබෙන විශ්වාසය විනාශ වෙන පරිදි මේ විපක්ෂය විසින් කරන මේ ක්‍රියාදාමය ඉතාමත්ම භයංකරයි. නැවතත් අර කලින් තිබිච්ච ම්ලේච්ඡ යුගයකට ගමන් කිරීමට ඔවුන්ගේ උත්සාහ දැරීමක් හැටියටයි අපි ජාතික ජන බලවේගයේ නීතිඥවරු හැටියට මේක දකින්නේ. අධිකරණයට තමන්ගේ තීන්දුව ස්වාධීනව ගන්න ඉඩ දෙන්න අධිකරණය මේක තීන්දුව කරයි. අපි තීන්දුව කරන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. දැන් ඇති.
President's counsel Upul Kumara Peruma said that the opposition is trying to bring out the opinion that the judiciary is engaged in politicizing of the law. However, the law of the country was in favor of one group, but that situation has now changed. Now the law is equal for all. There is provisions for arrest in an investigation process, and there is also room to produce before the courts of a suspect. It is according to the discussion of the magistrate that a suspect could be remanded or to be released on bail. The President's counsel added that the opposition is motivated by political needs and personal needs, so they are trying to socialize a false concept and causing harmful impact on the independence of the judiciary.
General Secretary of the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna, Tilman Silva, says law of the country is being implemented equally on all citizens. Two ministers have also expressed views regarding the remanding of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe. General Secretary of the JVP, Tilman Silva, says that if anybody has committed an offence, the court will look into the incident. It is the discretion of the court that the granting of bail or detention takes place. This is not an issue that anybody should turn into a dispute. This is the nature of the law. Tilman Silva added that, however, a small group is rallying around the former president. It was the same group that had been agitating continuously in the recent past that former president should be imprisoned. However, when the law is being implemented and after the court had taken a decision, they're trying to raise black flags and go in procession. This amounts to insulting the judiciary. Minister K.D. Lalkantha said that Sri Lanka previously law was not imposed freely on a former president or any VIP. Therefore, this court verdict has a great relevance. The government is not implementing the law. All it does is to draft laws. It is the responsibility of the relevant institutions to implement the law and previously there had been many obstacles imposed on these institutions. As a result, there was a separate law for dignitaries and another law for the general public. Now, law is equal to both parties. Somebody is saying that the verdict is written at the Palawat office. If anybody makes such a statement and the judiciary intervenes, a person who makes such a statement is liable to be guilty of contempt of court. The minister added that therefore the protesters should refrain from making irresponsible statements as the administration with respect to the law in power. The citizens should become more careful in their utterances.
ක්‍රියාත්මක වන පාලනයක් තිබෙන නිසා තමන්ගේ කටින් එළියට දාන්නේ මොනවද කියලා මනවින් වගකියුතු පුරවැසියෝ විදියට සිතාමතා කටයුතු කරනවා නම් මම හිතන්නේ ඒක අපේ සමාජයේ පැත්තෙන් යහපත් ලක්ෂණයක්. ඒගොල්ලෝ තමයි දන්නේ.
Minister Dr. Nalindra Jatissa says that criminals themselves know how much they are offenders to criminal acts such as financial fraud, robbery, abduction and ransom takings. Investigators and researchers are aware of the only small fraction of these crimes. Only after engaging in extensive investigations, the CID or the law enforcement authorities become aware of the seriousness of these crimes. The offenders are getting scared when the law is being enforced against them. The people of the country have come to realize that for the first time that the law will not be bent in the face of power and money. The people are getting more and more confidence in the judiciary. The minister also said that the country's image would further be enhanced when the law is being implemented in a fair manner on all citizens.
A shooting that had taken place in Malini Bulat Sinhala Mawata in Buralaskamu at dawn today had killed a youth. Our correspondent says another person was injured. The incident had occurred when a group of 10 people were returning after attending a musical show at the Ballarat Stadium in Borales-Gamua. The police says a person came in a three-wheeler and had fled after committing the crime. The victim was a 21-year-old resident of Mount Lavinia. The injured person is undergoing treatment at the Kalubowila Hospital. It is believed that shooting was triggered as a result of a dispute at the musical show. Investigations have further revealed that both sides involved in the incident belong to organized gangs.
We are now moving on to a special segment titled Development News. The new Katangudi Central Road is being carpeted and developed. The project commenced recently and the road is being renovated after 30 years. A sum of 50 million rupees being spent for this project. The road is the approach road to the Katangudi National School Base Hospital, Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Katangudi Al-Amin Vidyalaya. Chairman of Katangudi Urban Council, SSM Asfar and other joined in the occasion of the commencement of the renovation. Construction of the new water supply project to provide drinking water to the new housing scheme at Valimadawat, Badul, commenced yesterday. The housing scheme is being implemented under the assistance of the Indian government. The Ministry of Plantation and Community Infrastructure Facilities is spending 5.9 million rupees for the project. The government has taken steps to provide electricity, water and other infrastructure facilities for the project, which includes 30 housing units. Chairman of Valimadha Pradesh Sabha, along with a group of others, were present at the commencement of the construction. A housing development program is also in progress in Akmimana area in Gaul. Construction of 182 housing units commenced recently at a cost of 182 million rupees.
Frost that is formed due to excessive cold climate during the early morning hours in the western slopes of the Central Highland is a common occurrence these days. It is an enchanting sight to see the morning dew emanating the environment with the dawn of the early morning sunlight. As a result of the gradual lessening of the temperature on the surface level, the water vapor begins to form an icy appearance. The small particles are known by the English language terms ground frost and frozen dew. Falling of the frost on the grasslands in Bhagavantalava, especially during the early morning hours, is indeed an endearing scene.
Well, that's something cool, and we take a short break and we'll be back with more local stories shortly.
அழகா இருக்கு எங்களுக்கும் ஆசைத்தான். ஆனா எங்களுக்கும் யாராவது இருந்திருந்தா.
என் வயசு பிள்ளைங்க பாடசாலைக்கு போய் படிக்கையில நானும் கடையில கஷ்டப்பட்டு வேலை செய்ய வேண்டியிருக்கு.
நானும் ஒரு சின்ன புள்ள. எங்களை வீதியில தள்ளி விட்டப்போ தடுக்கிறதுக்கு யாருமே இருக்கல.
ஹலோ, மனித விற்பனைக்கு எதிரான தேசிய செயலணி.
மனித விற்பனையில் ஈடுபடுதல், அதனை ஆதரித்தல் பாரிய குற்றமாகும். பாதுகாப்பான ஒரு தேசத்திற்காக விழிப்புடன் நாம். நீங்கள்
எல்லா வாக்குறுதிகளும் நம்ப கூடியதும் இல்ல, வழிகாட்ட முன்வார எல்லாரும் நல்லவங்களும் இல்ல. எங்க கனவெல்லாம் பயன்படுத்தி சிலர் நாங்க நினைக்காத அளவு எங்களை அணுக முயற்சிக்கிறாங்க. ஒரு அழகான சிரிப்புக்கு பின்னால நிறைய தீய விஷயங்கள் ஒளிஞ்சிருந்தது. அதை நான் புரிஞ்சு கொள்ளும் போது அவர் என்னை ஏற்கனவே விலை பேசி கொடுத்துட்டாரு. இதை நான் யார்கிட்ட சொல்வேன்? இதுல இருந்து எப்படி நான் தப்பிப்பேன்?
மனித விற்பனையில் ஈடுபடுதல், அதனை ஆதரித்தல் பாரிய குற்றமாகும். பாதுகாப்பான ஒரு தேசத்திற்காக விழிப்புடன் நாம். நீங்கள்
Live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Welcome back to the news on national television. Moving on to more local stories. Well, heads of diplomatic staff appointed on behalf of several countries have met Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya at the Prime Minister's office today. Well, the ambassadors attended the meeting where those who have been appointed for countries like Indonesia, Brazil, Maldives, Turkey, Nepal, Korea and Oman. The Premier advised the newly appointed ambassadors that they should give priority to enhance the image of the country internationally, as well as to attract qualitative investments. An exchange of opinion regarding opportunities available in the host countries have also taken place. The Premier's Secretary Pradeep Saputantri and a group had also participated in the discussion. Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya presided over the declaring open of the newly constructed relic chamber at the historic Sri Javardhanpura Rajamahawihar premises today. The commemorative plaque was unveiled by the chief incumbent of the Vihara, the Venerable Dr. Alutnura Anuruddha Thera. The Prime Minister also declared open the museum of the Vihara as well. On this occasion, the Mahasangha headed by the Venerable Thalangama Devananda Thera, Deputy Minister Chaturanga Abesing and a group also attended this function.
A one-day training workshop for subject officials in all divisional secretariats in the Sabaragamuwa province was conducted yesterday. It was held with the objective of decentralizing on the regional level of the activities of the President's Fund. President Secretary Dr. Nandika Sanath Kumar Naika has presided over the event at the Ratnapura District Secretariat. The number of applications received had been increased with the decentralizing of President's Fund to the divisional secretariat level. It has become imperative in this connection to educate and train relevant staff at the divisional secretariats on the new online methodology. Accordingly, the relevant officials in Ratnapura and Kegaul districts of the Sabaragamuwa province were enlightened. The program aims to increase the number of recipients of the President's Fund, provision of a high-quality service to the beneficiaries, introduction of the modernized online strategy and providing the necessary knowledge and training for a more expeditious service. Divisional secretariats of the relevant districts and other officials have attended the discussion.
Another extreme weather conditions, extensive damage has been caused to 50 houses due to a tornado situation prevailed last evening at the Similando area, and according to reports 6 Grama Niradhari divisions have been affected due to it. Well, the tornado has affected the Grama Niradhari divisions of Buddhama, Vijitapura, Gallamuna, Maravayava and Kalgolyaya and Samanalabad, which comes under the Similando Divisional Secretariat Division. Reports have come in regarding roofs being blown off and also trees falling onto the houses. According to our correspondent, the supply of electricity in the area has also been hampered, and the District Disaster Management Unit has taken steps to provide relief to those who were affected.
Here are more local news items in brief. A woman died and another 3 were injured when a jeep collided head-on with a 3-wheeler at Podarumulla area, Vadua. The driver of the jeep has been taken into custody and the Vadua police is conducting investigations regarding the accident. A function was organized at the auditorium of the Karapitiya Medical Faculty, Gaul, yesterday in order to appreciate the services of the health staff of Southern Province. The function term Dakshina Suva Viruva 2024 was held under the leadership of Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa. The minister on this occasion pointed out that the unity and professionalism strengthen the development of human resource within all staff members in the health service. Souvenirs were presented to twin students of Dimbulagala Education Zone recently. The students of Siripura Central College, the school where 6 twins were studying in the area, included among them. The function was organized parallel to the International Twins Day. A march organized by the Old Boys Association on the occasion of the 80th anniversary of Sandalankalava Central College was held yesterday. The construction of the new college stadium was also commenced on this occasion. A sum of 35 million rupees will be spent on this project. Deputy Minister Anton Jaikuri and a group of others joined the occasion. The historic Seruvila Lalata Datu Mahaperahara paraded the street last night. The sacred relics casket was carried by Tasker Vasana of the Ruhunu Kataragama Devalaya. Deputy Ministers Gamegedra Disanaik and Arun Hemachandra along with a number of others were present on the occasion. The 4th Kumbal Perahara of the annual Asala Perahara festival of the historic Sri Natha Devalaya Paskama paraded streets in the evening yesterday. The final Kumbal Perahara will parade streets tonight. The final Randoli Perahara will be held on the 29th of this month.
Well, wild elephants in Sri Lanka possess a unique, beautiful appearance that's compared to elephants of other countries. And due to their magnificent pair of tusks, the local wild elephant becomes very unique. Well, out of wild elephants in Sri Lanka, only 5% of them have tusks. The number of tuskers in the forest in this country have been limited to 40, which can be termed as pathetic. But Banu can be described as another valuable tusker in the generation. The tusker visits Kaudulla National Park during a particular time of the year and was out of records and any information for a period of 3 years. Our correspondent has been able to capture unique series of picture frames of the Banu. Several days back, Banu, around 30 years age, is a huge tusker measuring 9 feet in height, at present spending the annual heat period. Fabulous wildlife there. We take a short break. We'll be back with overseas stories shortly.
குழந்தைய பாக்குற வேலைன்னு சொன்னாலும் 7-8 குடும்பங்களோட எல்லா வேலையும் நான் செய்ய வேண்டியிருக்கு. நாங்க ஏமாந்துட்டோம். நினைச்சதை விட இங்க வேலை கஷ்டமா இருக்கு. மகன் என்ன தேடுறானா?
அம்மா நல்லா இருக்காங்க தானே?
எனக்கு இந்த மாசம் சம்பளம் கூட தரல. நான் அதை கேட்ட நேரம் என்ன ரொம்ப மோசமா அடிச்சாங்க. கொஞ்சம் அந்த ஏஜென்சிக்கு கதைச்சு பாக்குறீங்களா?
அது ஒரு போலி ஏஜென்சி வசந்தி. அது இப்போ அந்த இடத்திலேயே இல்ல. எங்களை கூட்டிட்டு போன விமல் அண்ணாவும் இல்ல.
இதுக்கு மேல என்னால சத்தியமா தாங்கிக்க முடியல. எனக்கு உங்ககிட்ட திரும்ப வரணும். இத நாங்க யாருக்கிட்ட சொல்லலாம்?
மனித விற்பனையில் ஈடுபடுதல், அதனை ஆதரித்தல் பாரிய குற்றமாகும். பாதுகாப்பான ஒரு தேசத்திற்காக விழிப்புடன் நாம். நீங்கள்
நாம் அனைவரும் நாம் இருக்கும் இடத்திலிருந்து ஒரு படி மேலே செல்லவே முயற்சி செய்கின்றோம். பல கனவுகளை சுமந்த வண்ணம் வெளிநாட்டுக்கு சென்றது வாழ்க்கையில் வெற்றி பெறலாம் என்று நினைத்துக் கொண்டு, ஆனால் ஆராய்ந்து பார்க்காமல் நாங்கள் தேர்வு செய்த பாதை பிழைத்து போனது. சமூக வலைத்தளங்களுக்கூடாக குற்றங்களை செய்ய நிர்பந்திக்கப்பட்டோம். எவரது பாதுகாப்பு மற்ற ஓரிடத்தில் இணைய குற்றவாளிகளுக்கு நான் இரையாகிவிட்டேன். யாருமே அந்த கஷ்டத்தை அனுபவிக்க கூடாது.
மனித விற்பனையில் ஈடுபடுதல், அதனை ஆதரித்தல் பாரிய குற்றமாகும். பாதுகாப்பான ஒரு தேசத்திற்காக விழிப்புடன் நாம். நீங்கள்
Welcome back, and we're moving on to news overseas. Stern words from US to Russia. US President Donald Trump once again warns that sanctions will be imposed on Russia if a peace agreement is not reached to end the war in Ukraine.
At the same time, Russia has accused Ukraine of carrying out a strike on one of its nuclear power plants. In an effort to end the conflict, talks were held recently in Alaska between President Trump and Russian President Putin, followed by further discussions in Washington between Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky. Although both rounds of talks were described as constructive, no significant progress was made towards a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. President Trump expressed his displeasure after Russia launched an attack on a US-linked industrial facility in Ukraine. He stressed that Russia must agree on a peaceful resolution within 2 weeks. If not, President Trump warned again that tough sanctions would be imposed on Moscow. Meanwhile, Russian authorities accuse Ukraine of launching a drone strike on a nuclear power plant in the western Kursk region. They said no casualties were reported. However, the International Atomic Energy Agency has renewed its call on both Russia and Ukraine to refrain from military action around nuclear facilities during the conflict. In your sports news for tonight, Royal College Colombo has won the first stage of the Bradby Shield Rugby Championship match against Trinity College, Kandy.
Well, the match was played at the Palakale Stadium in Kandy. Well, this has been the 79th occasion of the Bradby Shield Championship between Royal and Trinity, and from the beginning of the first leg yesterday, the Royal team displayed their skills by scoring 15 points in the first half of the match. Trinity scored only 5 points during the second half of the match. Both teams failed to score points, and accordingly Royal College Colombo won the match 15-5, and they scored their points through 1 goal, 1 try and a penalty. And the second leg of the Bradby Shield encounter is scheduled to be played on the 6th of next month at the Royal College grounds in Colombo. And on that rugby action, time to end the news. Do enjoy the rest of the programs together with Cancer. This is Clifford, wishing you a good night.
Good night.